Hello, I'm Neil Dealey, co-founder and partner of Architects and Urban Planners Metropolitan Workshop. Welcome to Reshaped, a podcast series to mark our 15th year and to record perspectives on how the built environment is changing and needs to change in this historic moment. We asked leading thinkers and doers to respond to issues highlighted by the pandemic while we're in the throes of change, and memories and perspectives are fresh. Has the door opened to a new era? We think so. Our speaker in this episode of Reshaped is not only one of our most visionary property developers, he's also the new chair of the government's housing delivery agent, Homes England. An appointment some might regard as poacher turned gamekeeper. But his tried and proven record for successful placemaking is perhaps his key qualification for the job. In this episode, he expresses his personal views about the impact of the pandemic. Our long history of making successful places has been neglected, especially after we invented the motor car, he argues. We have an opportunity now to rebalance our lives and the prosperity of our towns and cities. Peter Freeman is co-founder of Argent and chair of Homes England.
I'm grateful to Metropolitan Workshop for inviting me to take part in this series of podcasts. My brief was to provide some insights into the future of homes and urbanism, particularly in the light of COVID. If nothing else, COVID has demonstrated two vital truths about how society operates. First, how much we value time with friends, family, and colleagues. We like to get together, share food, kick a ball, swap stories, have a hug. We miss mingling. The second is that technology has made it possible for many to maintain a quality of life and economic activity without going to shops and offices. What Amazon and Deliveroo had already started, Microsoft Teams and Zoom have taken to the next stage. The advent of low-cost, high-quality online meetings arrived just in the nick of time for COVID. It's clear you can successfully work remotely as long as the Wi-Fi doesn't play up and your home is not too crowded. Even when the technology plays up, we've all shown kindness and sympathy for interruptions by children and pets. We shouldn't be surprised, as we've practiced these forgiving behaviours for years on crowded trains and in heavy traffic. We're pretty adaptable and pretty decent. So when the cursed COVID finally curls up and leaves us free again, what will we choose to do? Will COVID prove merely to have been a modest accelerator of changes already underway? Or has it provoked outcomes that would not have occurred otherwise? Is the age of town centre offices, sandwich bars and coffee shops dead, to be replaced forever by Zoom, Amazon, and Deliveroo meals direct from ominous, dark kitchens? Or will we return to our old habits, commuting to and congregating in city centres? My answers are scientific to the extent that they're driven by observation, but personal to the extent they reflect three key aspects of my character. First, I'm almost always an optimist. As a developer, you need to be. Second, key changes in history tend to be evolutionary, not revolutionary. Third, I regard walking as the natural and best form of transport. Low cost, green, and pleasurable. As a 6-year-old, I started walking to school by myself, and as a parent and grandparent, it's a good start to the day if I can walk or scooter children to schools. Less good if I have to strap them into the rear seat of a car. So fairly central to my view of urbanism is having as many amenities as possible, shops, schools, doctors' surgeries and parks, within walking distance of home and work. As a developer, I built successfully on that theme with schemes like Brindley Place in Birmingham and King's Cross in London, where within 5 minutes walk through beautiful, animated public realm, you can live, work and relax. Fountains where children are welcome to play right in the midst of corporate offices, shops, art galleries and theatres. As well as these Argent town centre schemes, I was also one of the founding directors of Mayfield, a company dedicated to delivering an exemplary new market town in Sussex based on mixed use and walkability. So packing in as much activity and landscape as possible within 10 to 20 minutes stroll is central to my view of the good life and good urbanism. Against this background, what does the future hold? The best way to forecast the future is to marry studying the long past with the most recent changes in technology, finance, and ideas. Finding the common threads in how we lived in the past shows us the essential requirements of human nature and civilizations. But emerging technologies and ideas present opportunities to adjust how we live, perhaps even for the better. Until the 19th century, most people lived near work. As the majority worked to produce food consumed locally, they lived in hamlets and villages near their fields or fishing nets. A large village was just a few hundred people set within a few thousand acres. The next tier up was a market town, then a county town complete with cathedral and law courts, and finally a metropolis, either a capital city or from the late 18th century, one of a growing number of major industrial and university cities. As the number of people involved in agriculture fell from 75% to 2%, and those employed in factories or services in major towns grew, villages were hollowed out and cities expanded. That overwhelming global trend continues today, with 300,000 people moving from the countryside to towns every day. Fundamental changes in transport, energy, communications, education, and demography over the last 170 years have transformed the essential relationships between work and home and the increasing importance of amenity. At the outset, the advent of rapid transport by trains and then cars allowed people to escape the fumes and noise of Victorian towns to live in suburbs and satellite towns far from work. This disconnection between home and work may finally be capable of being reversed with new clean technologies ending noxious fumes and rapid information transfer, meaning that you don't have to be in the same room as all your colleagues. For years, I've been advocating the desirability of living close to work and schools in an attractive urban setting, which is also interesting, varied, and safe. The underlying principle of Mayfield, the market town I helped design, was that 90% of homes were within a 10-minute walk of a primary school and a 20-minute walk of a secondary school. The schools, always placed by bus stops, parks, shops, leisure facilities, and workplaces. If there's a single planning concept that embraces well-being, sustainability, and community building, it is this idea that most journeys can be made by foot or bike. No mad dash from drop-off at the school gate to the train to get to work, but a gentle stroll to work across a park or down a high street. It's a vision of living in a neighbourhood of 2,000 homes, enough to support a primary school and a sense of community, and a cluster of those neighbourhoods coming together to make a small town of 20,000 people capable of sustaining a secondary school. And for that cluster potentially to form part of an even larger town with yet more amenities and even less need to travel away. In the last 9 months, estate agents have reported demand for bigger homes with more outdoor space and homes in the countryside. It reflects a desire to escape crowded town centres. Whether buyers' decisions reflect the fear of infection or a longer-term reality that they won't have to commute in the future is less clear. I think a high percentage will be back in the office 3, 4, or even 5 days a week once COVID is over. However, to give staff choices to win the war for talent, there will be more flexibility to work from home and to use satellite offices. Some satellite offices will be commercially run serviced offices for local residents to work close to home, but not at home. Some will be occupied solely by one employer and strategically placed around the country. An impressive thing I've seen in my short time as chair of Homes England is that for many of the jobs advertised, an applicant has considerable choice about which of its 9 offices from Newcastle to Bristol becomes their base. Satellite offices, combined with satellite university campuses and skills training centres, can help restore the pride and purpose of towns all over the country. So as the country picks itself up from this recession, we have an opportunity to bring more town centres back to life, supported by the spending power of more of the workforce being based in the town rather than commuting out. It's a moment local politicians, employers and property owners should seize now that technology has aligned with the business case and social case to keep towns vibrant. If we build tightly knit communities with most amenities within a mile or two, the more we will allow ourselves to return to the bipedal rate that set the pace of most human history. In rebuilding sustainable communities, we will reduce stress in our lives and protect the environment and the economy. If COVID helps us get there, then some good will have come from it.
That was Peter Freeman. His views about the importance of making pedestrian-friendly places are based on more than 30 years of experience. All of life's essentials should be within what Peter calls a 20-minute stroll, an attribute often present in the most successful places. Technology, he argues, has demonstrated to us in this pandemic that we have the means to reinvigorate our ancient desire for utility and delight in place. The fortunes of towns and villages can now be restored because much of the need to commute long distances has been removed. This is the most positive, powerful catalyst for change since the car was invented. Now opportunity itself has been made more mobile and can travel to where you live. You can listen to other podcasts in the Reshape series at all the major providers, or go to our website, metwork.co.uk. Series directed by Lee Mallet, produced by David Michon and Justina Green, recorded and edited by Sean Crook.